9 pagan gods hidden inside Christianity. That glowing golden ring behind the heads of saints and angels, pagan artists were drawing it centuries before Christianity existed. The date of Christmas, the imagery of the halo, the veneration of saints at their shrines. The internet will tell you every one of them was secretly stolen from the old gods. But here's what almost no video about this will tell you. Some of these claims are rock-solid history, and some of them are complete myths. Internet folklore repeated so confidently that millions of people believe things that simply aren't true. So today we're not just listing pagan gods hidden inside Christianity. We're putting 9 of the most famous claims on trial and separating the real history from the fiction, because the truth is far more interesting than the myth. In this video, we're going to investigate 9 of the most popular claims that Christianity secretly absorbed the old pagan gods, from the sun god behind Christmas, to the goddess behind Easter, to the mother goddess behind the Virgin Mary. For each one, we'll look at what people claim, and then at what the historical evidence actually supports. Some will shock you because they're true, others will shock you because they're not. This is history as a trial. Objective, evidence-based, no agenda. Let's call our first witness, the sun.
Please subscribe for a new deep dive every week.
We begin with the most famous claim of all, that Christmas, December 25th, was stolen from a pagan sun god festival. The Roman Empire worshipped Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, and the Emperor Aurelian elevated the cult in the 3rd century. There was also Mithras, a mystery cult deity popular among Roman soldiers, often linked to the sun. The claim goes like this: December 25th was a major pagan sun festival near the winter solstice, and the early church simply slapped the birth of Jesus on top of it to convert pagans more easily. So what's the verdict? This one is partly supported, but more complicated than the myth. It's true that December 25th was associated with Sol Invictus in the Roman calendar, and many historians do think the church's choice of date was influenced by, or set in deliberate contrast to, existing solar celebrations. That's a mainstream view, but here's the twist most people don't know. There's a competing scholarly theory that early Christians calculated December 25th independently, based on an old belief linking the date of Jesus' death to the date of his conception, then counting 9 months forward. In this view, the date came from internal Christian reasoning, not pagan borrowing. The honest answer is that scholars still debate it, not a clean theft, a genuine historical mystery, which brings us to a goddess whose connection is far more myth than history. Now for one of the most viral claims on the entire internet, that Easter is named after Ishtar, the ancient Mesopotamian goddess of love and war, and that Easter eggs and rabbits are her fertility symbols. You've almost certainly seen the image shared online, Easter and Ishtar side by side, claiming they're the same word. It sounds convincing. It spreads every single spring, and the verdict is, this one is essentially a myth. Here's the reality. Ishtar was pronounced nothing like Easter. The resemblance in modern English is a coincidence, not a linguistic connection. In most European languages, the holiday isn't called anything resembling Easter at all. It's based on a word meaning Passover, like the French Pâques. The English word Easter most likely derives from a different source entirely, a proposed Germanic dawn goddess named Eostri, mentioned by the medieval English monk Bede, tied to the direction of the sunrise and the springtime. And even that connection is debated, because Eostri is mentioned by essentially one source, and some scholars question how much we can really know about her. So the popular Ishtar claim is false, and the real story is a modest, uncertain link to a possible Germanic dawn goddess, nothing like the dramatic meme. The truth is quieter, but at least it's true. Now let's look at a claim that's on much firmer ground. Look at almost any classic painting of Jesus, Mary, or a saint, and you'll see it. The halo, that disc or ring of golden light behind the head, marking holiness. Where did it come from? The claim is that the halo is borrowed from pagan art, and here the verdict is strongly supported. The radiant halo was used across the ancient pre-Christian world to signify divinity, power, and the sun. Greek and Roman art depicted sun gods like Helios and Sol, with crowns of light or radiating rays. Emperors were sometimes shown with radiant halos to signal their exalted status. The visual language of light around the head equals divine or sacred was well established long before Christian artists adopted it. Early Christian art, which developed within the Roman world, absorbed this existing visual vocabulary and repurposed it. This isn't a scandalous secret, it's simply how artistic symbols work. They get borrowed, adapted, and given new meaning. The halo is a genuine case of Christianity inheriting a pagan artistic convention. So that's a real one. And the next case might be the most visually striking of all. Place an ancient statue of the Egyptian goddess Isis cradling her infant son Horus next to a Christian image of the Virgin Mary holding the baby Jesus, and the resemblance can be startling. The claim is that the Christian iconography of the Madonna and Child was influenced by, or borrowed from, the widespread imagery of Isis nursing Horus. The verdict here: plausible and taken seriously by many art historians, but hard to prove as direct copying. Here's the nuanced truth. The cult of Isis was enormously popular across the Roman Empire in the early centuries of Christianity, and images of the Divine Mother with her divine child were genuinely widespread. Many art historians accept that this visual tradition could have influenced how early Christians chose to depict Mary and Jesus. The mother cradling sacred child template was simply in the cultural air, but we have to be careful. A similar pose doesn't prove one directly copied the other. Mothers holding babies is a universal human image, and visual parallels can arise independently. What's fair to say is that the Isis-Horus imagery was a likely influence on Christian artistic conventions, not a proven one-to-one theft. Influence, not identity. And that distinction matters as we move to the shape of the cross itself. Our next case concerns symbols, specifically the claim that Christian sacred symbols, including cross forms and the surrounding imagery, borrow from pre-Christian sun worship. Cross shapes and sun wheels appear in many ancient cultures long before Christianity, as symbols of the sun, the four directions, and cosmic order. The claim points especially to things like the ringed Celtic cross, suggesting the ring is a pagan sun symbol fused onto the Christian cross. The verdict: mixed, some real, some overstated. On one hand, it's true that simple geometric symbols like crosses and wheels are ancient and universal, and that Christianity, spreading into pagan cultures, sometimes absorbed local symbols and gave them new meaning. Missionaries were known to repurpose familiar imagery to make the new faith feel less foreign. That's genuine. On the other hand, the core Christian cross has a clear internal origin, the crucifixion narrative, and doesn't need a pagan sun wheel to explain it. Many specific "the cross is really a sun symbol" claims overreach the evidence. So the honest picture is layered. Real absorption of some local symbols in some places, but not a wholesale pagan origin for the central Christian symbol. Now for a practice where the pagan connection is much more direct. Here's a claim that goes deeper than imagery: that the Christian veneration of saints, with their local shrines, specialties, and festival days, effectively absorbed the role of the old local gods. In the pagan world, different gods governed different domains, one for travelers, one for the harvest, one for a particular city or spring. People prayed to the relevant deity for their specific need. The claim is that as regions converted, this structure carried over. Saints became the new specialized intercessors, and pagan holy sites became Christian ones. The verdict: substantially supported. There's solid historical evidence that early Christianity often built churches on or near former pagan sacred sites, and that some local saints' festivals landed on or near the dates of older local celebrations. Historical records even show church leaders advising missionaries to repurpose existing pagan temples and festivals rather than destroy them, to ease conversion by preserving familiar rhythms with new meaning. Now, the important nuance. Veneration of saints also grew from internal Christian roots, honoring martyrs, praying for their intercession. So it's not that saints are simply rebranded gods. It's that the structure of local, specialized holy figures and sacred places genuinely absorbed and paralleled the pagan pattern it replaced. A real, well-documented case of continuity. And that theme of continuity brings us to the seasons themselves. We return to Christmas, not the date this time, but the customs, the claim that many beloved Christmas traditions come from pagan winter festivals, especially the Roman Saturnalia and Northern European midwinter celebrations. Saturnalia, honoring the god Saturn, was a raucous Roman midwinter festival featuring feasting, gift-giving, and general merriment. Northern European traditions contributed evergreen boughs, Yule logs, and midwinter feasting during the darkest part of the year. The verdict on the customs, largely supported. Historians widely accept that many festive customs surrounding Christmas, the timing of a great midwinter feast, gift-giving, decorating with evergreens, lights against the darkness, drew on or paralleled these older winter celebrations. When Christianity spread into these cultures, people kept celebrating in midwinter. The festivities were reframed around the nativity, but retained older seasonal habits. The key distinction, again, is customs versus core meaning. The Christian theological content of Christmas, the birth of Jesus, comes from the Gospels, but the surrounding festive traditions genuinely absorbed the midwinter celebration culture that was already there. Both things are true at once, and that's the honest, layered picture. Which leaves us with two final, quicker cases to complete our 9. Our 8th and 9th cases are often bundled together in these debates. The claim that the resurrection theme and the spring renewal symbolism of Easter were borrowed from pagan dying and rising gods and fertility deities. The internet loves to list ancient gods who supposedly died and rose again, implying Christianity just copied the template. The verdict here demands real care, mostly overstated and heavily debated. Here's the honest scholarship. The idea of a widespread, standardized, dying and rising god pattern that early Christianity simply copied has actually been heavily criticized by many modern scholars. When you examine the individual myths, they're often quite different from each other and different from the Christian resurrection account in their details, meaning, and context. Many of the neat parallels you see listed online collapse under close inspection or rely on loose, exaggerated descriptions. Where there is a fair point, springtime symbols of new life, eggs, rabbits, blossoming, renewal, are ancient and cross-cultural, and Easter's seasonal imagery genuinely overlaps with older spring fertility customs, much like Christmas and midwinter. But the dramatic claim that the resurrection itself was lifted wholesale from pagan dying and rising gods is one that serious scholarship largely does not support. It's the biggest myth in the whole debate, dressed up as the biggest revelation. So let's deliver the full verdict. When you actually put the 9 famous claims on trial, they don't all land the same way. And that's the real story. The strongly supported cases are about form and structure. The halo inherited from pagan sun imagery, the veneration of saints paralleling local gods and sacred sites, and many festive customs of Christmas and Easter absorbing older seasonal celebrations. These are real, documented continuities. The plausible but unproven cases are about influence. The Isis and Horus template possibly shaping Madonna and child imagery, and the disputed origins of the Christmas date. Likely connections, but not open and shut. And the myths are the ones the internet shouts loudest. Easter comes from Ishtar, and the resurrection was copied wholesale from dying and rising gods. These are the flashiest claims, and the weakest. The honest conclusion is this: Christianity absorbed a great deal of pagan artistic form, structure, and seasonal custom as it spread through the ancient world. That part is undeniably true, but its core theological content came from its own scriptures, and the most dramatic "it's all stolen" claims are usually the least supported. The truth isn't a conspiracy, it's something better. The fascinating, messy way one of history's great religions grew inside an old pagan world. And now you know how to tell the real history from the myth. If you want to see where this whole journey started, the forbidden texts, the lost gospels, the writings that were deliberately left out of the Bible and nearly erased from history, then there's one more mystery waiting for you. Some of those banned books contain stories so strange, you'll understand exactly why they were buried. That video is right here, and it's the perfect next step. Tap it now, and let's uncover what they left out.